Episode 9 of Transfer Talk. How are we all doing, folks? I hope you've all had a really, really good week. Your weekend's going fine. We've got a watch along tonight on bigup.com for the Leeds Wrexham game. I say tonight, 12:30, Sunday morning, technically. So you can join us from just after midnight over on bigup.com if you're not already. There's a lot of stuff to get stuck in. It's been an interesting week. It definitely feels like one of those weeks where things are just bubbling under the surface a little bit and you're waiting for one or two just to pop and jump out at you. And there's a couple that are close, but it's been a really interesting week. We've got a couple of exits as well we'll touch on in a little bit of detail. But as always, what this show is all about is I'll give you what's been said, who has said it. We'll try and give you the story from all sides of the players that have been linked with Leeds United, because we tend to just see the Leeds United side on social media. We don't actually see what other clubs are saying about players that we're linked with as well, especially when there's lists of clubs involved with players that Leeds are supposedly looking at. This is very much a discussion focused show as well, so I'll give you my opinion. You can formulate your own, because as I always say, I'm not your mum. I'm not here to tell you what to do, so you can make up your own mind on these as well, but I'll give you the detail and we can have a chat about it and I'll tell you what I think about it. But it has, as I say, been a really, really interesting week. We've had two exits, or one done, one about to be done this week, two significant exits as well, and looking at maybe two rumoured incomings over probably the next 7 days as well. And a couple of them might be slightly more unclear than certain people or some people on social media, and maybe Julian Brandt being the prime one. This doesn't seem as cut and dry as some people think it might. We've had a good look at all the clubs that have been linked with Brandt and what they're saying about their movement for him, because there's more than one offer already on the table for Julian Brandt. We'll get to that. We'll start off though this one. We'll talk about the exits and why they're significant to talk about. So as I say, the first two we're talking about, and they're significant ones, are Max Ferber and Jack Harrison. They're the two out the door. Now, Isaac Schmidt obviously left the club last week, so Leeds are doing a small amount of work getting players off the books. Everyone's always and obviously concerned that we're not necessarily bringing in the money we would have wanted, but I think there's context to that, and the context is incredibly important when it comes to these. Ferber is important because it's a mutual termination of his contract, which means a clean break with the two of them. We're not doing a Bamford on this where we're buying out the remainder of his contract. They've agreed to split. He's gone and he walks away. But it gets a significant chunk of wages off the books. And under SCR, we tried to explain this during the week. You can check it out if you want to. But where transfer fees aren't exactly one for one. So if we bring in 18 million quid and we sign a player for 18, that doesn't exactly cancel each other out anymore. It's far more complicated than it needs to be now. Wages do. So whatever money we get off the books in terms of wages, bring a player in on similar wages, that's that boxed off, and we're in a decent position. So getting him off the books is important. A lot of people in the comments this week said would have liked us to get some money for him. We're terrible at getting money for players, and that we've not been great at it. That is true to say. But Max Ferber's played 14 matches in 2 years. He played one game last season. And as I said jokingly during the week, knees made out of biscuits. I think his legs are made out of biscuits at this stage. Nobody was buying him. There was no interest in a fee for him. So the next best bet is, look, get his wages off the books, not another loan. Let's not have him hanging around the place anymore. Let's just move on from this and get him off the books. And those wages can be used straight away. So they will be very important. Maybe already paying for a Harry Wilson or playing for a Tariq Muharramovich. Getting better at that, I think, slightly. The second one then is Jack Harrison. So Jack Harrison, for all intents and purposes and all the news and noise that's out there around Jack, this deal looks like it's done and dusted. Jack Harrison will move to the New England Revolution, back to the MLS for Jack, where he started his career. As I say, the reports out there say the deal is apparently done. He has been given designated player status at the New England Revolution. Revelation is the signing. What that basically means is he'll still be on very good money, so that's probably helped us in this situation of getting him to go. Nothing on a transfer fee yet. If there is one, it'll likely be a modest enough one as well. But similar to Verber, probably more significant is the fact that we've got the wages off the books, because Jack was one of the highest earners at the football club, and his wages could essentially pay the wages of a Julian Brandt coming in, so you're one for one there as well. So, and if I'm wrong, Steve Carlisle will send me a message now in a couple of minutes telling me that I'm wrong. So there's that. So yeah, two significant ones going out the door. Just about done with Jack Harrison for now. The other one then is Lucas Perri. Just a quick update there. The deal to Torino is all agreed. Apparently, everyone's pretty much confirmed it, including Romano now as well, and Graham Smith have all confirmed it. It'll be greenlit when Leeds bring in a goalkeeper, and that should be likely James Trafford. And we'll start off also, before I go any further, all of this information is relevant as the time of we've recorded this, which is about 10 to 5 on Saturday evening. So that's where it is. Things can change rapidly on this depending on when you are watching it. And if you haven't stuck a like on the video yet, you're 5.5 minutes in. What are you doing? Hit the like button. Come on, it's free. Let's talk about incomings in James Trafford. So cut and dry enough on this situation. 23 years of age, 6'6" or 6'5". He's in that middle bit between 6'5" and 6'6", depending on what you look at. A goalkeeper, really good one for Leeds. Where are we with this? We are still very much at the talks confirmed status on this. A lot of noise going around there. Some people are looking for the easy tap in already to say deal done, exclusive, agreed. As again, at the time of recording, still in talks. Finally, our details being sorted out. ESPN's Rob Dawson broke this initially before then David Ornstein confirmed it with his piece. And then Fabrizio Romano also confirmed that this looked like it was just about done. Leeds leading the race. Fee-wise, we're possibly in record transfer territory. Some of the numbers out there, nothing has been confirmed. As again, of time of recording, you're looking at anything between rumoured £30 million and £40 million. It could be on the lower side of that or the higher side of that, but that's roughly to be where it is. No idea on how that's going to be structured, how much is up front, how much is being paid over per year, how the SCR impact is on that as well. Some of the stuff right now that's going on, the discussions appear to be around some sort of either a buyback or a release clause. Some people have said a release clause is around 75 million quid. Again, that's only speculation and rumour. That's not confirmed by anybody. Graham Smith says that the details are being discussed right now. Wouldn't expect much detail on this deal to come out once it's done. Your clubs are not going to advertise that there's a sell-on clause in a player's contract. They don't do that because it tells everybody what you're doing. You get rumblings of it or rumours of what that might be. But Graham Smith did say, likely unknown, what's going to be said. You're going to get undisclosed fee from Leeds United. That feels, unless they want to brag about a record transfer. We'll get some details on it. It is worth noting, though, you're not going to see James Trafford in a Leeds United shirt in the next 24 hours, likely because as of last night, he's on his holiday with his partner. I think it was her birthday, and you had a post up with them there. So Leeds can still announce deal done, can still give the information to the journalist that deal has been agreed in principle or everything else like that. As was said by Team Talk, personal terms seem to be not a problem and broadly agreed. And this is Team Talk's story, so we'll take their leaning on this one. And yeah, once he gets in, we'll see him in a shirt. Could be a couple of weeks though before he's back involved with the squad, so he might miss out on the US tour, but back for the other games in Dublin and then maybe the games with Red Bull as well. And I know there's possibly 2 games in Netherlands Road. I think the second one was confirmed. Someone will tell me. But yeah, I think that is the case. And then, yeah, as I say, doesn't stop Leeds announcing this is a deal agreed. You know, similar to Harry Wilson, I suppose, right now, until he comes back. He might fly back and get his photographs taken and go back again. You never know. Muharmovic did that, but now he's back with the squad in the US, so he could be involved in tonight's squad. So we'll see. The next one to talk about then is Julian Brandt, and this is not as clear-cut or as open a goal as people think it might be. 30 years of age, 6'1" in height, attacking number 10. So where are we with this one? Offer on the table. That's as far as this has gone as of right now. His father, Jurgen, as we know, visited Thorp Arch last week, possibly visited twice. Again, that's the second time as a rumour. To discuss the terms, Leeds are rumoured to put a deal on the table, but we've had a look around all the other clubs being linked with him to see what is exactly being said by their journalists and media that are close to this. And again, it's not as one-sided as people might think. Graham Smith and Baron Cross have all reported on and confirmed that Leeds have put an offer on the table. Nicolas Shearer says that it's a 3-year deal. Other people are rumouring that's a 2-year deal. Again, none of that's been confirmed right now. And with so little information getting out of Leeds right now, it's probably more likely that this stuff hasn't necessarily been given to anybody and they're poking in the dark to see if they're going to get something. What's interesting on this is we've looked a little bit further. Spanish media have been really involved in this because Atletico were in the mix at one point. Vicias claimed that Leeds are leading the race along with other people, but they've also mentioned that side in Turkey, who I'm not mentioning the name of, you know who I'm talking about, Besiktas, AS Roma, and Ajax as all being interested in him as well. That has then been taken and recycled by media in Turkey, so it's pretty active on social media right now. There are 2 separate reports. One is claiming that Ajax have also offered him a 2-year deal. Besiktas are also said to have put an offer on the table. So he is sussing out his offers right now. He's got little egg timer on his Instagram right now to say, you know, soon. But nothing appears to have been decided right now. I keep checking my phone when I'm doing these as well. DiMarzio in Italy have said the Premier League is the most likely destination. You take that, you take the offer on the table, and people are putting 2 and 2 together and going, yeah, he's coming to Leeds. That's done and dusted. He did want to move to Arsenal, apparently. That doesn't appear to be on the table. Arsenal haven't moved forward with it. So there are plenty of other clubs still in the mix on this. Romano fan accounts caught a lot of people off guard yesterday, putting out that it was a done deal. Leeds were going to announce a 2-year deal. Got tagged in a ton of stuff yesterday. You need to check the handle on all the Romano accounts. There's some fan accounts that have hundreds of thousands of followers. I got to check them. But yeah, it doesn't appear that it's done and dusted and over the line just yet. There is an offer on the table, but there's also an offer on the table from Ajax and from Besiktas as well. So we'll see which is the better offer. And they all seem to be in and around the same length of time. So we'll see. Igor Paixao is the next one to chat about. Genuinely didn't think we'd cover this again after mentioning it in the rumour mill yesterday, but there's a bit more to this. 26 years of age, 5'6" in height. He's been linked to Leeds by Le Minute OM and Foot 01, both in France. One's a Marseille publication. So what's going on here is it's a pretty black and white situation. Marseille are in financial trouble and need to sell players. In fact, Le Minute OM say the entire squad is for sale if the right valuations come in for the right players. They're under investigation by UEFA's financial committee, or whatever way they call it, and they're also under investigation from the French Football Authority into breaching their rules last year. There were 104 million of a loss last season was what they banked. Huge amount of money going out. Le Minute OM say that a fee of €30 million to €35 million, so about 24, 25 million pounds to 28, 29 million pounds, which is in and around last season's price tag for him. AS Roma are labelled as the most interested club in him and the most likely destination should he become available. Graham Smith did weigh in on this. He was tagged in a post yesterday on X and asked, well, what's the story with this? Where are we? And Graham has been pretty straight up. He said, you can't rule it out entirely because Leeds really, really liked him last summer, but they're not in form right now and unlikely as it stands. And Graham's been very careful about the language that he's using here. As it stands, unlikely right now. Things can change. And this does feel to me like not completely off the table, like one of those market opportunities. Should he become available for the right price, if Leeds could get a really good deal, would they nip in? The other point for me on this is what Leeds can physically spend this summer, because if they are going to go and spend 30, 35 million on Trafford, if they are going to spend 34 million spread out over time on Demirović, and if they are going to try and buy a striker as well for over 20 million quid, you're getting pretty thin on the ground in terms of what money's left to be able to go and buy an Igor Paixao. But go back 12 months ago, and Leeds did said they could make money, find more money, or make more money available if the right profile came up. Now, Leeds still, for me, haven't had any major sales outside of Pascal Stroke. I still have a funny feeling Leeds will look at that midfield change, Ilya Groove, maybe even a Sean Longstaff. It's only my personal opinion. Not that I don't like either of the two players. I just have a funny feeling that they could maybe look to upgrade that. Brendan Aronson's got 1 year left on his deal as well. If he did get a fee from him and he went, maybe that makes it easier in this situation as well. So it's an interesting one for me, and I would park this and file it very much into the if we've got money left at the end of the shopping, we might see. You know, we'll see. The next one to talk about is a really interesting one, and we're getting into the striker department now. We've got two strikers to talk about. First one is Ermedin Demirović that we talked about towards the back end of last week. 28 years of age, 6'1" in height striker. If you were to go off Leeds' recruiting model for last summer, Demirović is a full checklist tick. Over 6 foot, 28 years of age, running time on his contract will be a really good one. The source on this and where it's come from is Sky Germany. Patrick Berger, who's a fairly credible source on this, has said that Juventus, Leeds and Fenerbahce are all interested in Demirović. The fee is 15 to 20 million euro, so 12, 11-ish million pounds to 15, which is not a lot of money for those who watch Demirović and knows what he can bring to the table. He would be a very interesting player for Leeds to have. The reason this has come up and the reason there's a discount maybe in the price tag is Stuttgart's head coach Hoeneß is believed to be open to a sale of Demirović. I probably pronounced his name wrong as well, by the way, but the head coach. The club are believed to be less keen. There's a bit of a split in the board here. He wants a younger profile. Undav is joining them. I think there's also a youngster from Wolfsburg joining them who's a Pešinović, I believe his name is. Probably a bad pronunciation. Pronunciation. Before I get done on my pronunciation of pronunciation. 43 goals, goal involvements in 87 games for Stuttgart, which is really solid numbers in the Bundesliga, especially for a side that are not the top side in the Bundesliga. Graham Smith, Isaac Johnson, all pretty much said the same thing. Seems unlikely. Leeds looked at him before. Possibly not going to go again. But then when you look at the sources, credibility-wise, Bayer's obviously said also linked him as well. Berger and Bayer very credible sources. Graham Smith from a local level, very credible source as well. So you've got two sets of credible journalists on different sides of the fence on this. So again, file this one in the interesting one, and maybe it means they'll do it if they don't get the other targets that they want. But he would definitely be interesting competition for Calvert-Lewin and Lucas Perri. Big, strong, physical striker, good finisher, eye for goal. A lot of people who know a lot more about football than me would say this is an interesting one. So we'll keep an eye on it. The next striker is the younger bracket then. Franquelinho Zhu, or De Zhu, 22 years of age, 6'2" in height, striker, playing in Denmark. So this came out as a Team Talk exclusive. Leeds and Newcastle have been labelled as the clubs among the bigger clubs, wider range of clubs that are monitoring the situation. Etihad could be open to the sale of him this summer. The big international tagline on this is record Danish sale needed. Now the record sale price in Denmark is 25 million euro, I believe. So it's not massive money. They're believed to want about 30 million euro, so 25 to 27, 28 million pounds. They did reject the bid from the Saudi Pro League of 25 million in January. So you're going to have to go over that if you do want to get him. The reports in the Danish media are saying 30 million euro will get him. That's coming from the Danish side of things. Since arriving in Denmark in 2023, Franquelinho has got 55 goals in 107 appearances, 22 and 34 appearances last season, which is really, really strong numbers. But you do also have to, unfortunately, add the context of that's the Danish league, not the Premier League. There's an adjustment period. He's 22, he's quite young. There's a lot of pressure on his shoulders when you come over. He could adapt to it like that, and he might not. But he does tick one box. If you go back to the Demirović link, Graham Smith said, unlikely as Leeds are looking for a younger profile striker in this window. He definitely ticks that box at 22 years of age. Had a bit of a knee issue last year, is well over it, fit as a fiddle, not a bother on him, should be good to go. As I say, Midtjylland rejected a bid of 25 million euro. So if you get 25 million pounds, you probably might be in a situation where you can get him. What's being said in Denmark is Leeds, Everton, Fulham, Brentford, Newcastle are all interested in him. So plenty of interest in him. Nothing from credible local media on this at all. They haven't gotten involved in this. They haven't said anything that might be a factor that says Leeds are admire but haven't made a move yet, as the summer line has gone so far this year. So probably the most exciting name in terms of the potential the player has, the profile of player he has, even potentially even sell on value down the road if it should work out and we have to, move players on down the road. He's got the age for that. But the price is a bit steep for a young player, unproven at this level, playing in Denmark. But you never know. Sometimes you've got to take a gamble. People took a gamble on Haaland. Look what happened there. So we didn't take the gamble on Haaland. Thought 5 million was too much for him, so we didn't do that move. But yeah, so again, I put him in the category of linked strikers. It was quiet enough on strikers, and now starting to see a few of them linked. But does lower the age bracket of what Leeds are looking for this summer significantly. If you look at Graham Smith's comments, maybe there's something in this. So the ones that are interesting, it does, for all intents and purposes, look like James Trafford is getting closer and closer towards being deal agreed, which we all hope we can see pretty soon. Julian Brandt, the concern for me would be Ajax's involvement in this, and the fact that Ajax now have a deal on the table, which means there's active negotiations going on there as well. Still think it'd be a hell of a coup for Leeds to get if they can get him across the line. If he fancies the Premier League, he might fancy playing at Ajax. European football might be the driver for him, but last couple of years of your career, do you fancy a crack at the Premier League? Give it a go. Interesting to see it. And then if the striker one feels like we finished off one set of shortlist players and we're moving on to the next slide. So we got the goalkeeper probably done, defender's done. We've got an area 10 and our wide man in if we can get Brandt, and we already got Wilson, and then you're moving on to the strikers, and then maybe you go to cover. Maybe you start looking at left back cover and elsewhere, and exits become important then towards the back end of the window. But there we go. There's your wrap up of the week. You have your opinion on it. You have your thinking about it. They're my thoughts, and they're only my thoughts. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion on this. As I say, I'm not trying to tell you what to think, just giving you what my 2 cents is on this situation. So you can digest them if you want to. Let me know down below in the comments what you think. Stick a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. And if you're listening on the audios, give us a follow and a channel rating. And yeah, I might see you over on bigup.com for Leeds versus Wrexham in the first pre-season friendly of the summer later on tonight. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.